a roll call. Just so everyone knows, we have a new clerk and she's gonna be operating the Zoom. Do we have anyone on Zoom? I can't see the.
Jeffrey.
If you're on Zoom, can you hear us okay?
Yes, sir, Ken.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll do a roll call. If I forget an organization, I apologize. Sandoval County,
Present.
Village of Corrales,
Here.
Village of Cuba, or Cuba EMS, Bernalillo, Town of Bernalillo,
Present.
Cochise Lake, Santa Ana Pueblo, San Isidro,
Here.
Jemez Pueblo, Santo Domingo, Jemez Springs, Navajo Nation. Okay, I believe that's everyone. We have a quorum. Okay, everyone get a copy of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes for August 19th and November 18th. I do apologize that we didn't get those included in the last meetings. Hopefully you had enough time
We
to.
could do like we did at the last meeting, whoever makes the motion, if you could say what agency you're with, since we do have a brand new clerk, she doesn't know who everybody is. So if you could just say, Sandoval County moves, blah, blah, blah. Village of Corrales seconds.
Village of San
Thank you.
Isidro makes a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, Village of San Isidro makes a motion to approve the minutes for August 19th and November 18th. Do I hear a second?
Sandoval County seconds.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, passes. Okay, number 5, adoption of resolution Open Meetings Act. We did not get it included in your packet. We discussed this in the executive meeting. We'd like to go ahead and pass this on the record today, but we'll get copies to everyone and we'll reconfirm on our next meeting. Nothing's been changed. It's just a procedural thing that we gotta do it in the beginning of the year.
San Isidro will make that motion to approve the Open Meeting Act.
Okay, San Isidro makes motion. Any second?
Second.
Sandoval County makes second. All in favor, sing by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, item number 6, center update.
Mr. Chair. The update, we are getting ready to send some of our employees to get state certified. I spoke a little bit about it in the governance meeting and Amber's going to elaborate on that. They have a year from the date of hire to get certified for the state, and that keeps us in compliance with their certification and being in our PSAP. I handed out the CAD statistics. When we started the center in July, prior to that, when we received the CAD from Rio Rancho, we had Ryan Slota clear everything out of the CAD and start all the nature codes from the beginning. And what we realized in the old CAD compared to the new one is that first responders were being logged on CAD calls that weren't necessarily calls for service. So when we began dispatching in July, we made the decision every call that will be logged with a CAD number or run number would be a call for service. So that's what those statistics are based off of the CAD. And it's a very just down and dirty review of the calls for service. It doesn't go in depth as to what they are, what the nature codes are or anything like that, but it's just per agency what we dispatched on. So that kind of gives us a little bit of idea in the last 6 months of what the agencies are doing. With that, we've realized in the last 6 months that operationally we needed another supervisor. So in that realization, we decided to allocate two of the dispatcher positions to create the supervisor position. Right now, it's listed up on the Sandoval County website, and we're getting ready to do interviews for that position. Our plan for the future with that position is to assign them to do NCIC TAC and focus on compliance with the state in terms of our NCIC CJIS documents and warrants, while they also support the other supervisors with managing the floor and the employees on the floor. So that hopefully will help with the operational need, and it'll help relieve also the supervisors when we're short-staffed. If someone calls in sick, we can use that supervisor to cover that. In the future, looking towards the future, we're going to be, for the fiscal year, I want to reopen those two dispatcher positions so that we can get the staffing to help with the demands of the dispatching call volume. And then also reopen the assistant 911 director position as well, which then can help facilitate with our leadership goals with our supervisors. Any questions?
Direct Fox, go back to the agency call breakdown. I don't know if I'm getting this. How are you determining those numbers again?
It's just calls for service. So let's just say you call out a traffic stop. It logs you on a CAD like it logs you on the system. That's considered one CAD call. That's how it's determined.
So if you have a call that has 5 different responders, is that 5 different?
Well, so let's just say you are logged out on a traffic stop and someone's having a heart attack. Then we spawn another call for Sandoval County Fire, and then they get it. It's not related because even though it is related in the sense that you're asking for rescue, they're also having to respond. So it creates that statistic for them as well because they are responding to a call with someone with the heart attack.
So you're just looking at call numbers, not call numbers, unit numbers.
It's agency per agency, not
agency.
necessarily. Yes.
Okay. That's just clarification on that. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So Director Fox, this might be for the item number 7. Is this how the dispatch fees are going to be calculated based on the total calls, or are we still going to essentially use airtime
Well,
or total time?
the deputy county manager is going to talk on that, but
Okay.
we don't feel it's appropriate to change anything right now because we don't have accurate statistics in the sense that it's only 6 months. It would be, smarter for all of us to look at it in the sense over a year for call volume. And so we'll look,
Yeah,
he'll
thanks.
more on that, but
Yeah.
essentially,
yeah,
we're not going to change anything right now.
Okay, yeah, because I'm sure, the majority of the cross calls are self-initiated and not taking any of your staff time, right? The officers are logging a 77 check on their MDT, things of that nature. And so it's going toward our total, right? But it's not necessarily using any of your resources.
And
Yeah.
when you say that, are you talking about area checks?
Yeah,
Okay, so
Yeah.
that also brings up another, issue, right? If you look at the statistics, Corrales has 16,000 calls that were dispatched, but you're saying that some of them were area checks. We
Yeah.
would have to break it down, and then as the ops board, we would have to decide how are we charging? Because an area check for you could mean a different area check for Sandoval County or Bernalillo Police.
sure.
That could be just, you want them to check the intersection where they're checking a building or a state park area. It's
Yeah.
just different.
No, I
We
get
have
it.
to really determine that.
Yeah, and I mean, just, Chief Stoyle is very happy about this, but if you're monitoring the law enforcement main, they at any given time to me sound like the busiest agency, right? For law enforcement is BPD versus Corrales and SO, but
Right.
that's another conversation. I understand.
Mr.
Just-
Chair,
and
Chief,
I think we're going to discuss this more in detail on item number 7. So I'd like to continue with item number 6, the center update. So do you have anything else?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we did not add this to our agenda. Did you want to do an update from the Office of Emergency Management under this item?
I apologize. Yes, if we can get Dan to give us an
Okay.
update on the
Thank you.
red.
Welcome, Dan. You have the floor.
Thank you, Chief, Chairman, and members of the board. So real quick update for our mass notification system. Many of you might know our Code Red system we've had for 20 years went down. They suffered a cyber attack last November. With that, FEMA took away their ability to send emergency, what we call IPAWS alerts, which is Integrated Public Alerting and Warning System. Think of it like your Amber Alerts, Silver Alerts, things like that. Everybody gets it no matter what. So that was decertified through FEMA and their system was totally taken offline. Since that time, we found out what happened. They had a cyber attack, ransomware, kind of went forward a little bit, said, okay, are we going to keep this or are we going to look for something else? Started evaluating different platforms, did up to 6 different platforms, kind of vetted them through. And 2 weeks ago, met with members of the chief, our IT people, our dispatch folks, deputy county manager, myself, and we started vetting through some of these platforms. We gave Code Red an opportunity to present themselves. We gave 2 other platforms also the opportunity to present themselves based on the latest technology and what was available. We came to a conclusion, unanimous vote, I believe it was, to go with the Everbridge platform. Very modern, very up to speed, very well respected within the community, within the nation. Our IT folks vetted them, a lot of IT security, a lot of security backups built into their system. They were extremely pleased with their thing. Our dispatch center was happy because our new system will integrate with the CAD eventually. We just want to get it up and running right now. So that's where we're at. As of Friday, we did go with them, and we are up and running with them at a very minimal level. Now, we can send those IPAWS alerts right now. I just found out they can send it on our behalf. I will iterate that we did not ever lose a capability to send those alerts. There was no issues with that. We had backups in place through the state of New Mexico and through, now we have Everbridge to back us up. One of the other things we're working on is MOUs with our neighboring jurisdictions so they can send on our behalf also those major alerts if we go down again. So we are moving forward with that. The nice thing is when Code Red did come back up, they only imported about a little over 6,500 of their old contacts. Not a good track record for 20 years. And as our IT pointed out, we considered that data pretty much corrupted. So we're starting with a clean slate with the new Everbridge system. We can import through public records now about 80% or 88%, somewhere in that area, of known phone numbers. So a lot of folks will already be imported into the system once we are fully live. That is where we are at right now. So over the next few weeks, we'll be importing some more things and tweaking out how this is going to look for the community as a whole. So we do have the IPAWS capability back. We upgraded the certificates through FEMA. So now we own the certificates as Sandoval County, and we have the ability to send out those IPAWS alerts. So I stand for any questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions?
Chairman,
Go
Dan, you're importing all the phone numbers that you have. Where are you getting that data from?
So it's publicly available data that these companies all pay for to import.
Okay.
Nothing that's not known already. So 90% of the businesses, public cell phones, all that stuff will be imported. Yes,
Do they have the ability to opt out?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Now, I will mention, we kind of separated Rio Rancho off to the side because they're going to take their own alerting system. So we were able to do some of the data imports without Rio Rancho. On the IPAWS side, we will have to cover them because they're not going to get their own certificate per the state alerting authority. So we have to work that through still. It might probably be an MOU with the Rio Rancho folks and how that's going to look.
And what's your time frame?
It's already going. I can get in the system right now and we can send alerts. So they brought it up within 12 hours of us notifying them.
Okay.
So, and we're still building.
Is there a link that somebody could go to that they can say, I want to join?
We will push that out once we're fully live.
Okay.
We're gonna do, we're gonna do a marketing campaign. I've already worked with our marketing team. They're working on some things right now to push that out to the public and how that looks. We're gonna make it unique to Sandoval County as a whole, right? So that's our goal.
Dan, I appreciate all your hard work. I really do.
Yep. Dan, thank you for that update. Do we have any further questions for Dan? Anyone online? Okay, Dan, thank you again. Thanks for the update. So just to clarify, since we're got a couple of windy days ahead of us, if we have to notify the public of a wildfire event or a weather event, we can use the iPause and you have access to do that and send out an alert?
We do, yes. So we can, right now, we can go through the state as the state's authority, alerting authority. They have the ability to do it. And IPAWS can do it on our behalf right now.
Okay.
And like I mentioned earlier, we're working on agreements with Bernalillo County and probably going to be City of Albuquerque also to provide that redundancy for us in case we go down again or they go down, we can send it on their behalf.
Okay. And then just that's where I was leading into is redundancy. So you're saying that we are out of the Code Red system, so we don't have access to any of that
Correct.
other database. It's been terminated.
Yes, sir.
However, does City of Rio Rancho Dispatch Center still have access to that Code Red database?
My understanding was that was totally separated between our jurisdiction and theirs in July. So I cannot speak for Rio Rancho.
Okay. All right. If there's no further questions, thank you again for that update.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yes.
Director Fox, can you talk a little bit on the outage with NCIC?
Mr. Chair, the recent one from the other
The
day.
recent ones.
Okay, so Lumen, which is CenturyLink, had an internet outage. When they had an internet outage, it was a regional outage and it only affected certain areas. And unfortunately, our dispatch center was lucky enough to be in that area where the internet outage occurred. When it became apparent that they weren't going to have a fix anytime soon, we reached out to Bernalillo County Emergency 911 Center, and the director, Robbie McCormick, agreed to take our NCIC ORIs and was able to continue the function of running NCIC. We also reached out to Bill Holiday, who is with Motorola on our radio system. He was in Santa Fe, went over to Bernalillo County 911 Center and was able to configure a patch so that the officers didn't have to change channels to run NCIC. You still went to the Sandoval County NCIC channel and ran that, whatever you needed to. There was a minimal interruption. We were down for a little while. From what I understand, other agencies were down as well until they were able to either bring up their redundancy for their internet, which our IT is working on as well. And there was minimal interruption at that point.
From my understanding, IT's working on trying to get another system. Can I make a suggestion? Can you get just a laptop with a SIM card and maybe put leads on it and be able to run it for
Mr. Chair,
systems like that, or no?
in order to get NCIC certification, and it is a very intricate, and there's a lot of rules to it. You can't just be running NCIC on a laptop in the sense where we're confirming and entering warrants. For leads, it's different. You guys can, the public safety can run the information on their laptop, and then you're calling out to the NCIC division, which would be in dispatch. Then we're able to confirm, pull the warrant. You have to have authorization to do the extra stuff. So having it on a laptop isn't secure because it's not in a place where, NCIC and I don't even know if you could do this, where you'd have to get with the NCIC team at the state, you'd have to get that particular computer approved. If we would have to prove it's in a locked environment, that nobody has access to it. So yes, we could do that. However, again, we did have issues because we didn't have their internet. I know you're saying to use a card. I mean, there's other ways you could attempt to do that. I actually tried to have IT put a Starlink to that particular computer, because NCIC is only addressed, they have addresses. And so it was addressed to just that computer. But in order to do that, they had to get approval from the state. That could take up to 24 hours, which we knew it was going to be a short turnaround, according to Lumen, who was saying they were going to get it fixed by the morning. So there are other ways that we can do it. The fastest way is what we did. It's to not interrupt, unless I told you that we had Bernalillo County running NCIC, you may not have known that. But I wanted to be transparent in the fact that we were down and that another agency was running our warrants. And when that happens, they do the warrant check, they do the confirmation and call us and let us know. And then we actually pull the warrant, since we're holding the record.
Okay. I just trying to think of other solutions that could help.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other updates? Manager Fox, Director, did you want to talk about our meetings that we had and go into some detail there? So we could try to, yeah, I'll let you go and start.
Mr. Chair, I apologize. I didn't address that in my center update. So the chair, myself, and Amber are going around to agencies within our JPA to talk about operations. Initially, we had thought about doing on operations groups, but the chair had an idea to go to each agency individually to see if it is a systemic issue that we would need to have a group to deal with an issue, or if it's just an agency issue that we could actually identify a problem and fix at the time. So I'll be reaching out. I've reached out to some of you already to schedule appointments. We're trying to do them on Mondays, and just if we have to go to your agency, we'll go to your agency, or you can come to us at the dispatch center and we'll meet with any concerns that you have. So far, it's been very informative. We've come up with some ideas that we will be moving forward with, such as CAD training. Amber, there was a suggestion to film the CAD training, radio training, and then we can disperse it out to the JPA members. So that way you can give it to your public safety officers and firemen if they needed training, of holding trainings up at the EOC to see if there's anything else that we need to help with, MDTs. And like I said, your radios. Amber was going to do a short NCIC training video as well. And these are things that are still in the works, but these were ideas that we came up with just so that if you have questions, we can possibly give it to you this way so that we reach everybody at one time instead of having a training on a date where only some people can attend. By filming it, we could have that. And as we do updates, we can just disperse it out to everybody.
Thank you for the update. And I just want to emphasize the meetings that we have had have been really productive. I learned a lot about the law enforcement side and some of your needs. So please, we're going to be scheduling appointments with you. Also, I see Dr. White, and we're going to be scheduling a meeting with you as well. I know you're busy, but hopefully you can find some time to meet with us. And it's just to try to separate some of the needs that we have in our organizations, maybe internal needs and things that we can come up and try to brainstorm, and they may not affect the dispatch center, but we're taking, please, until we meet with you, take notes on all the stuff that you would like to ask us about, like the NCIC and backups. I don't know anything about that, but I made note of, those are concerning, and how can we maybe move forward and try to solve some of these issues. So, yeah, again, thank you for your time. All right. If you have nothing else on your agenda under the dispatch on the center update, We'll move into item number 7, dispatch fees.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the group. I'm going to start with a couple things. First of all, Sandoval County today has our IT director and assistant IT director, so don't let them off the hook today. When you have questions later, you're welcome to ask them some questions too. And Dr. White, thanks for being here as well. So we talked about the budget in the governance group today, and I'm going to start with this. Per the JPA, the governance group is the one that approves the budget. However, as you all know, the chairman of the operations group is part of that governance group with the intent that you guys have comments and ideas about the budget, whatever it may need to be. That goes to the chair, that goes back to the governance group. In March, at the direction of the governance group, we will be having another budget meeting specific about budget. Obviously, that'll be an open meeting. Anyone is welcome to attend. But we will be exploring this again in March. But we're trying to get this to you early enough so that you can start having those conversations with your respected finance partners. And I also understand that this is the first time you're seeing this because we didn't get it out in time. So these are little things that we're working on to make sure that you guys have a budget packet and really just a packet in general well ahead of time. So we'll continue to work on that. But really quick overview of the existing budget, which is the first page there. If you'll remember, a lot of the members were here. The SCRECC, the previous JPA, did a budget breakdown based on minutes used on the CAD. So you had a 2-minute call, 2-hour call, 2-day call, didn't matter. They assigned a fee per minute. I think it was 43 cents was the latest. And that is what they charged you for. As we all know, there are pros and cons to that. Sometimes units would get left on calls by accident and they would get overcharged. Other agencies were trying to cut back on costs, so they would actually maybe not call out a traffic stop or something of that nature, which can cause an issue, a concern. So there's a lot of discussion about how this needs to look moving forward. However, what we did last year to kind of get the center up and running is we took what the SCRECC FY25 budget was. And I said, basically what I need from you all to make this work, because I need a 10% increase over the FY25 year. And that will make sure that we fit our budget in and get things going. So that was approved by the governance group. And now we are in this year. So I'll go through these 3 pages and then we can talk a little bit more about kind of dispatch fees moving forward. But the first page is our current budget. And then the budget remaining, you'll see that we have started receiving some money back from the different agencies. We appreciate that. We do have about $1 million outstanding, which we will be kind of sending some reminders out to the different agencies. And then down below, you see that we're actually doing very well with our budget. We did have to kind of do some things with overtime and things of that nature. But all in all, we have 55% of the budget left, which is very good. I will say, Mr. Chair, members, we were very lucky when we got started. Last year, the legislative session actually gave us grow funds for operations and kind of expansions and things of that nature that we were able to put in this. In addition to that, we got that remaining allocation from the city of Rio Rancho with the capital money that was left. So we had a very good year to start things off, which is good. I think we're going to start tightening our belts a little bit as we move forward. And I just think that's going to have to be something that we all explore on how to do in the best way forward. Our carryover, or I'm sorry, so that's where we're at with our current budget and our budget remainings. If you go to page 2, the director kind of talked about this a little bit. This is kind of going to be the budget request for next year when it comes to kind of positions. As she alluded to, we did vacate 2 vacant positions to fill a 5th supervisor position based on needs, especially when it came to NCIC, et cetera. However, we do anticipate that with the growth that is occurring already that we're seeing over the last 6 months, that we will need to refill those 2 positions. In addition, when it was approved to move the assistant director to the director role, that obviously vacated the assistant director. To save on costs, we kept it vacant right now, but we would like to consider filling that position moving forward. So it'd be a total of 3 positions moving forward for next fiscal year. And you'll see there they have an annual rate, and on the far side, the grand total that includes benefits and all of that kind of stuff. So, and I'm going to present all this, Mr. Chairman, and then if you have specific questions, we can come back to the page. The third page, the final page, is kind of that quick synopsis, that quick breakdown of where we are FY26 revenue versus proposed FY24. And I'm going to start on the bottom of the page, Mr. Chairman. In the green, you'll see that for FY27, our proposed budget, what our need is, what our ask is 2.8 million. Now that's significantly less than the FY26 budget, but again, it's because we don't have some of that legislative funding that's going to be coming in necessarily. So we will have to kind of look at that. So 2.8 is going to be what our operating cost is for next year. And then let's go back to the top of the page. I believe that we will have enough revenue with the understanding that I'm proposing a 4% increase based on last year, plus the $800,000 in carryover. I actually think that number is going to be a little bit higher. So again, this is a very preliminary look. We're not taking any action on this today. This is just kind of some ballpark numbers, but with a 4% increase plus the carryover amount, we get that 2.8 million. I know it's not exact right now. We'll flush those out as we get a little bit more detailed, but 2.8 and 2.8 is what we're looking at right now. The other thing I want to add to this, and this was discussed in the governance group, and we're going to get this out pretty quickly here. The chairman brought this up. We actually do have DFA funding. DFA funding is allowing us to pay for things like utilities, certain maintenance contracts. This year, they were approved to help us start paying for certain things regarding our CAD, I believe. So that's all good news, which is why you'll see in some of those items on the far right side, you'll see we're able to reduce our budget in other areas because DFA is going to help us pick up some of those costs. And that is something that we need to be transparent about. We will get you those numbers as well so you know what DFA is paying. So that is the very, very preliminary kind of idea. That's a preliminary approach. This was presented, like I said, to the governance board, and we will have a workshop in March to discuss this further. But I do stand for any questions about any of this, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the update. I think I've already asked my questions in the governance. So, as chair of this organization, as Mr. Masterson stated, I'm here to advocate for all of us as our entities. So, going into this, I am looking at the numbers. I suggested that we look at trying to offset, and trying to keep a flat budget going into the next year without the 4%. But until we get those numbers, to make it fair for each agency and trying to divide it, we really need the numbers to really make a conscious, assessment of a budget and moving forward. So,
Okay.
Do we have any questions from agencies?
Mr.
Earlier?
Chair.
Go ahead.
I got a few concerns with it. I think, so from my understanding is you guys are going to keep the same statistics from the last budget year. You're not going to pretty much rerun the numbers for each agency.
Mr. Chair and Chief Doyle, yeah, as the proposal right now is that we take last year's budget and we add the 4%. In the governance group, we talked about what do the dispatch fees need to look like long term. We have 6 months worth of data. As the director commented, we wiped the slate clean and added 6 months worth of data to the sheet that you have in front of you when it comes to call data. There are so many different metrics that we could consider moving forward on how we charge people. Obviously, just to keep things moving, we're taking last year's budget and adding 4%. However, my request would be, because those numbers are very interesting, and I knew you were going to be interested in them, Chief. And I knew you were going to be interested in them, Chief. So, I think what we do is we maybe give me a little bit more time, give us a little bit more time. Let's get a full year's worth of data. And then let's come back and with you guys and the governance group, talk about what metrics do we want to use moving forward. Is it call volume? Is it time on the radio? Is it some sort of combination of both? I know there are some agencies that look at population-based stuff. I'm not sure that that's appropriate considering how much pass-through traffic we have, but those are all conversations that I think need to be had, but I don't know that we have enough time to have them right now. And then in addition, Chief, we also were given guidance and directive by the governance group. We're going to pull JPAs from other parts of the state and see how they, charge for different fees. And we'll see what we can come up with to present back to the team here. So it's a really long answer. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Masterson, actually, Director, on these numbers, I think some of the concerns, could you break down those calls for the agencies and hand those to the agencies? In other words, what type of call is in that number?
Mr. Chair,
So many.
yes, we can. I request that you send myself and Amber a request of exactly what you want. And you have to give us time to break down those statistics and a report for that because that is labor intensive per agency. So if you're wanting every single call volume, let's just say that Bernalillo takes every single call volume, then we have to do a report for every single nature code that they all log out on. So that just takes a little bit of time. But well, yes, we can get all of that information. We just would need the request.
Is that what the board was kind of looking at is besides this, are they concerned about
Type of call.
what type of calls they're going to? The numbers of calls?
Mr. Chair, I think my concern was having the numbers from the last Rio Rancho. We
Oh,
pretty much
yeah.
brought those numbers over, and I don't think those numbers are accurate. So I think pretty much we need to look forward on coming up with some kind of
Yep.
basis to determine how much each agency pays.
Mr. Chair, Chief Stoyl, I agree, and that's why we don't want to change it because what was presented before when we discovered when we got the CAD was, if you logged out on lunch, it was being given a CAD number. So we didn't have, even for each agency, we didn't have accurate statistics on even how many traffic stops or how many EMS calls. Like they're just from me looking at the statistics, they weren't accurate because it was including your lunch times, your meetings, your courts as part of calls for service. So this way that in wiping the slate clean and getting a year's worth of statistics, there's so many other reports too that you can ask us for. If you want to know how many shootings or stabbings or traffic stops your officers are doing, we can within a year run that to get those things for you because we're not logging the responders on things and issuing CAD numbers for lunches or courts and stuff like that.
Okay. Any other further questions?
Just Chair.
Yeah, can you approach, please?
So we're running the numbers based on the area, because I've gotten the reports from you, and a third of those numbers aren't mine. They're Sandoval County. So I just want to make sure that if I'm getting charged for those, they're my calls. Or if it's fair, do I need to pay for all the calls?
Mr. Chair, Chief Moreno, for you, it's different in the sense that we could actually run your call sign because you are the only officer. For other agencies, it would be a little bit more intensive investigation in the sense of looking. But for you, we could. Yours would be easy because you're the only one who's actually doing that. And then if it's based on the agency, so let's just say that you called out and you needed backup, you're already being logged on a call and it's for your agency. If an SO deputy goes to back you up, it's not going to log it on the SO deputy agency. It's going to be on yours because you asked for that.
Absolutely. So I'm just saying, based on what we've run currently, I get them every month. Just for instance, don't laugh, guys. I got 21 calls last month, but 4 of them belong to SO.
Yeah, it's
Right.
just area
So I
based.
just want to make sure that when we
Right.
do get those numbers
Yes.
correct based
Yeah.
on my agency.
Yeah, and on your report, you get your one for your unit and then you get the one for Jemez Springs. So it's just easy. Yours is like 5 for you and then 21 for the town of Jemez
And
Springs.
thank you for doing that.
Yes, it's easy for
Okay.
you. For everybody else, it's
So
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would like to bring up that and we can go on and on with this conversation and my experience with the other dispatch center and then now moving in. And it's good to hear everyone here being, physically responsible, looking at the numbers, being worried about being charged for extra calls that may not be in your jurisdiction. I get that. And I think that's why the executive board is really looking into trying to come up with something that's fair for all agencies. Because when we started transitioning to MDTs, a lot of the stuff can be officers or firefighters. A lot of the stuff don't have to go over radio and you can log it, which is good. It kind of made it competitive. So the less calls we have on radio, the less our municipality is going to be charged, which is good because we're bringing that cost down. We're bringing the call volume or radio time down. But we still need to staff the dispatch center. We still need the training. We still need people answering 911. So we still need to come up with a way to budget the center fully or any anticipated positions. So please, when we meet with you or if we haven't met with you, please write this stuff down so we could try to talk to you about your call volumes, your calls for service, statistics that you would like to see from us. And then if we have met with you, if there's other information, please feel free to either reach out to me or the center so we could try to answer those questions. So do we have any other questions about the matrix that we're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm oversimplifying this, DCMS Director Fox, but what we actually provide our mayor and council with a monthly report generated from the CAD records, the events by nature code by agency, which breaks it down for dispatch, self-initiated type of call, response times, how long the officers are logged out on the calls, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if that's a good starting point. And in this way, it will clearly differentiate between an area check of that ties an officer up for 20 minutes versus 10 seconds just checking on a house for someone who's on vacation, right?
Right.
So I don't know if it's just a starting point, or like I said, maybe I'm oversimplifying that.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
Chief, that is a good idea, and that is our goal. Our goal was to be transparent with the stats, and like I said, this is super basic, but we just didn't have anything to start off with, even with our phone call volume, which the next JPA meeting I'll bring those statistics as well, because that was eye-opening as well. The amount of calls that we're actually getting into the center was more than we anticipated. So this is just a basic of what we've done in 6 months. And our hope is to provide those statistics, because I think every agency should use those even for your own funding. That's such a good eye view of what you need, what you don't need, how the crime is evolving or it is not, or what you're doing good at in terms of with your staff and solving crime and response times.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to move on. Okay.
Little thing. Mr. Chair, Mr. Maston, I'd appreciate if you, like you said in the governance board, explore all the options.
Yes, sir.
And then be able to bring them back and say, hey, these are options that so-and-so is doing, or this is a possibility. This way, everybody's on the same page, and there may be something that we don't know.
Understood, sir. Yes, we'll do. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Let's move on. Item number 8, training update.
Chair, members of the board, how you guys doing today? Good. I just kind of wanted to give everybody a training update on where we stand with our trainees. We just had one released recently, about a week and a half ago. So she is now operationally on the floor. 4 are currently in training, and we have 3 of those with trainers and 1 is with me. So whenever I'm not doing my, operations items, I'm training her on the floor. I also kind of wanted to do a little overview of just how our training process works, starting with the recruitment and the hiring process. So Yvonne and I will create the positions, they're posted. We review them for minimum qualifications. Once they get passed through, we select them for interviews. We schedule the interviews. They're interviewed. If selected, then they sit along in the center just to see, kind of how things are going. Once they are selected after that, they go through an extensive background check. Then we coordinate with HR to do their NEO, which is the new employee orientation, and that's where their hire date comes into play. Once that happens, they start their initial phase training with me, and it's 4 to 6 weeks of classroom OJT. I train right on the floor in that back area. We sit on the floor, we hear calls. That 4 to 6 weeks can be adjusted by their experience. So if it's someone who's a lateral from, Bernalillo County or APD, we can shorten that because they already have the ear, which means they can hear things. They already have the phone, knowledge to talk on the phone. So it kind of depends on that. We review the SOPs, we go over all our training materials, law enforcement, fire and EMS, we do ride-alongs. We also get their certificates obtained. So all priority dispatch certificates, EPD is coming shortly, but EMD, EFD, CPR, any of those nature, we send them to that 3-week state academy. So they'll be sent in the time before they get on the floor, so it doesn't interrupt any of our staffing levels. And again, their training length is adjusted based on their experience. After that, and they're done with me, they go to the certified trainers and they kind of rotate nights, days, depending on who's available. If not, they will stay with me and I'll do one-on-one training. So after that, they go to their release process, is where they have their supervisor observation. The supervisor will observe them for, a day to see, if they're able to handle things 99% of the time on their own. And then they take their final exam. If they pass, then they're assigned to the shift based on operational needs. After that, that's not the end of it. They continue to, obtain their CEs. They every year we have to, make sure that they keep up with those. Every day is pretty much different. So they might not experience a critical incident while they're in training, but once they get out of training, typically that happens. And then we have, our supervisors who support them, our team members. So it's kind of like that. But that's kind of just an overview of how our training process works. It's in a nutshell, but it's pretty extensive. So.
Great. Thank you. Any questions for trainings? Hearing none. Thank you for that update. That's good to hear you guys are going through all that training. Thank you. Okay, next item, Hemis Springs, Sky Mara update. Chief Moreno.
Hello, thank you for your time. So the Skymera project is successful up in the Hemis Springs area. It has enhanced our communication up there, enhanced my communication. The benefits to the project is it would help some of your deputies up there. Like on Redondo the other day, they weren't able to respond back to dispatch for the code 900 checks. We can certainly connect other handheld radios to my mobile unit and then transmit back to dispatch that way. So it also helps in the critical incidents. So we can connect other radios to my unit and then transmit that back to dispatch. And we're operating off of satellite. So, we are in the process of testing what those limits are. I am going to meet with Carly Hoffman from State Police Dispatch at 2:00 up in my area. We are also going to test connectivity with their Skymera units. So that would also increase our emergency planning and disaster. If we have a critical incident, we would actually be able to connect with multiple agencies. So that's only going to help us down the road. Hemis Springs Fire is looking at installing the same Skymera gateway along with the brand new radio that connects to the 700 megahertz. So that may help La Cueva. La Cueva would now just need a mobile unit, not a base station. So it saved them some money. So they could actually transmit from La Cueva down to our fire station back to you all. So I see this helping us in the future. I budgeted for this transition. So along with some of the improvements in my communication area, because it's been something that I've been working on for the last 3 years and it's been successful. Any questions for me?
Do we have any questions? I have one. Can you share about approximately how much you had to budget for this?
So I can't share right now exactly what I paid for that Skymera project because along with that, I bought brand new radios, installation in my base station, and then I installed it also in the fire department. Probably close to $20,000 right now.
Yeah.
But that's not all Skymera, that's also the improvements.
What would be involved in us piggybacking on that?
So we'll have to sit down with Advanced Communication and look at what those costs are. Once I get the itemized list of what the Skymera costs in itself, because you have to get Starlink connected to your units, and I've got mine set outside. That wasn't a whole lot of money. And then you have to have the gateway connected in your units. But you would just need one base station so the gateway will connect to gateway and then it transmits it back into a radio. But essentially, if I'm on scene, your units would just have to switch over to the what are we using? TAC. LawTAC 1. And then we'd all be able to connect. Now, we are going to test those limits today to see how many units we can connect and to see if we can connect to Las Vegas and Albuquerque and Las Cruces. And then eventually I'm going to test the distance of radio to radio connectivity from my unit to the handhelds. That's another huge benefit. My handheld, and you guys know the handhelds are, not real reliable up there. So this will make those reliable. Your handheld will now, as long as you're within range of my unit, you'll be able to connect to SO1. And it's all off of the 700 megahertz channel.
Okay. Yeah, so now that I'm learning more about this, I appreciate you educating me in this. I'd caution that, if we start moving forward, that we look into making sure that it's not going to impact the dispatch center, having to switch channels. I know you guys are coordinating with the state, But in the years past where we've had agencies purchase different types of radios that don't correspond with, you know, the
Absolutely.
dispatch, or they don't link together, or we've had systems where you're transmitting on UHF to VHF with in-car repeaters. So I just caution as we move forward that we're purchasing or looking into the right equipment that's going to benefit the officers and the firefighters in the field, but also the dispatch center. So, and not interfere with our system or cause any sort of interruption.
So, Mr. Chair, I do recall that from our last meeting. So those are requirements so we've evolved from the first meeting 6 months ago into what we're connecting with now. We are not interfering with communications. They are not having to do anything to access that communication for us.
Yeah.
We are independent up there. So this is a unique way that we are connecting in Hemet Springs. It's different than state police. State police is using a dispatch center. We are just bridging from my unit to the fire station back to dispatch.
Yeah.
So it is unique.
It
That's
is.
why Carly's coming down from state police. She's very interested in how it's going to impact and increase our connectivity, especially during disasters. So yes, we kept all that in mind. We have evolved quite a bit from our first meeting 6 months ago. So it's not interfering with any current communications. Did you guys?
No, Mr. Chair, and I like that we did decide, at first it was an operational decision not to do that just because of our staffing level, but in the progression of Chief Moreno testing it, it's become really successful in the sense that they don't necessarily need us for him to have comms, which is imperative, especially up in Hemes. And I think initially, people, the first responders always think, well, dispatch has to have that capability, but this just proves that we're just a resource, just like the Skylink is as well. Starlink is as well. And I think it is more beneficial in the sense that they don't have to depend on dispatch to have the comms. They can independently have the comms, which is imperative, especially when you're up there by yourself or responding and trying to communicate with each other.
Absolutely. And I think, thank you for bringing the update. I think, one of the other questions I had was, it's only two-way, it's only radio, right? It's not, you don't have internet or anything. Does it help improve like internet?
So wherever my unit is, I do have internet. So I've got Starlink connected to my unit as well.
Okay.
So I do have CAD. I'm glad you brought that up.
Mr. Chair, can we have our IT? You shouldn't have shaken your head there over there.
Yeah,
Can you speak on that?
I'm just wondering the possibilities of not just two-way radio, but allowing for people to have CAD in more remote areas where they don't have a cell signal.
And XT can speak more on that. Yes.
Okay.
That's something.
Thank you.
So this is a two-step process, right? So he's got Starlink that's connecting him to the internet, and then he's using Skymira as his radio over IP.
Right.
So he's got both capabilities, right? The radio over IP goes to a cloud system that's on the internet, and he's using Starlink to facilitate that connection. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. That's really it. I mean, it's really that simple.
Okay. Well, this could have some potential, and I know that Sandoval County has a consultant, if they haven't visited you or contacted you, but they're evaluating some of our infrastructure, our towers and radios and things. And so hopefully they sit down with you. Okay, good. Because that may be incorporated into the bigger picture for Sandoval County and areas.
We've actually tested Starlink. We have it in a number of our facilities. In fact, the fire department is putting in a number of Starlinks to their facilities, but we haven't really looked at the mobile options of that. It is available to do that. If you have power, you can set up a Starlink ground station, and you can connect to the internet anywhere. As long as you have power and infrastructure, you can connect. And then what I'm assuming you're doing, Chief, is that you then have Wi-Fi available from your unit. So yeah, it's like a bubble of internet and radio system that goes with them wherever he sets up.
And I've tried to overload it. So I've connected my computer, my cell phones, other devices to try to overload because the Skymira uses just a little bit of that internet service, so it leaves a lot open.
Okay.
So yes, we can connect other units to the Starlink in my area.
Great.
So I will have 2 units by next year, and then hopefully the fire department will get on board here in the coming year as well.
So in theory, are you like a repeater for any other users?
Pretty much.
So
But
in the-
through satellite comms.
So in the event you're gone on a day off, how would, if we went that route, what would we do without without a stationary?
We'd have to get together and talk about that, because you'd probably have to have like supervisors with that system so that they could now become that.
But they'd have to physically be up there too.
Nope. No, they just have to have it in their unit. It will connect from anywhere based on what we know
So
now,
someone could be in La Madera with what you got
and still bounce off our fire department.
and still benefit the deputy that's up State Road 4?
Correct.
Oh, okay. That's,
So maybe we can look.
I know
at
nothing
putting it-
about that stuff, so
We can look at putting it in one of the sergeants or a couple of the sergeant vehicles.
as
We can
long as
test them.
he's on duty or 10-8.
Right, as long as he's
Anywhere.
in that area, correct.
Or he
Now,
has
they
to
do
be,
have Go kits so I've got a Go kit, they're transferable kits, and you just plug them into your radio so they can just get that attachment. So it's in a case. So that's what they used in Ruidoso, and it worked. That's what they've used in different areas.
like
where
the
they've had
on-duty
disaster.
sergeant could get the Go kit
Correct.
and supply everyone.
Yeah, and the Starlink dish is magnetic. So I had to have a special mount because the new units are aluminum. So those things that we've learned, but yes, you can take that and you can put it in the back seat of your car and would still get service. But I mean, it'd be a great thing to test out, especially for emergency situations where you're running a critical incident. You'd have comms, both internet comms and radio comms. But we can bring them down to talk to you if you'd like.
So what would have to be, like if the sergeant, like I said, is in La Madera on the other side of San Diaz, what would the deputy need in his unit that's in Hemis Springs?
So that the deputy, it doesn't work that way. The deputy has to be within radio to radio range of that sergeant's vehicle.
Or radio to
And
radio?
then we just switch up to a TAC channel. So basically everybody's feeding into that Starlink gateway and communicating back to the Starlink gateway in the fire department. And then that transfers back into radio comms. There is about a quarter of a second delay. So yeah, you have to be in radio to radio range if you're gonna link up other units to you.
And that radio to radio would be like through dispatch, not like a car to car,
No, you'd be car to car.
because there's only a range on car to car, right? Of
Right. We're talking about like your group that's going to attach to that main mobile unit. But the mobile unit will connect anywhere
oh, okay.
as long as we've got it channeled in. So that's what we're testing today with state police. I'm going to try to connect with Las Cruces, Las Vegas, and Albuquerque from Hemis Springs. We programmed the state police channel into that Skymira box up there. So we're
Okay.
testing all that. I can let you know for sure exactly how that works.
Okay.
But you still have to be within radio to radio range on scene
For the comms.
for the handheld comms.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to move on. Good, thank you. That was very informative.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have anyone in the public or on Zoom that would like to, it's open for public comment, any questions? Seeing none? Okay, open discussion amongst members on Zoom, on the floor. Seeing none? Okay, next meeting, will be determined, the executive board, we're gonna have a meeting in March pertaining to budget. And then we'll send out meeting dates. Director, do you have an idea when you like to have a meeting? And then we'll just try to confirm.
Mr. Chair, how about May 12th?
May 12th,
It's a Tuesday.
is that a council meeting? What about
May
the
19th?
19th? May 19th looks good. Yep. Thank you, Administrator, Clerk. All right, so we'll go ahead and put it in for May 19th. And it'll be the same location here and same time, okay with everyone, Director? 11?
Yes, Chair.
Okay. That's the end of our business. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time. Appreciate you.
Thank you.